the NHL Calder race. And, we won't talk a ton of NHL here, but these are guys that are prospects transitioning into pros, and it only makes sense. And, when you look at the Calder race, you look at the odds, the betting odds and everything else, and you say, okay, well, Connor Bedard is clearly the favorite, and then that makes sense. The question is will he ultimately be the winner? Because the Chicago Blackhawks, while they have built up a little bit around him, do they have enough? And that is my question. I do believe Connor Bedard is going to score a minimum of 30 goals this year, but I think that there's a real chance that he touches 40. It'd be hard to do, but I just think that with the amount of power play time he's going to get, with the situations he's in, with playing with Taylor Hall, with playing with, experienced players, even though the Blackhawks are going to have a hard time this season, and I really do think they will, he is going to have an opportunity to be put in all the right positions. So you fully expect Connor Bedard to be there. We don't need to belabor that point. What'll be really interesting is the two guys that were the top scorers in college hockey last year. You got Adam Fantilli and Logan Cooley, both coming in as rookies. Cooley a little bit older than Fantilli. But Fantilli, if you saw him in the rookie camps, if you saw him in NHL preseason games, this is a player that's ready to take the NHL by storm. This is a player that's ready to do some special things this year. He's got the size, he's got the physicality, he's got the skating ability. Adam Fantilli is a special player, and he is going to make an impact. The other thing that he has going for him that Connor Bedard does not is that Columbus is better set up to insulate that player. They have Johnny Gaudreau. They have Patrick Laine. They have other, Zach Werenski. They have skilled players around him to help kind of soften the burden of offense that you would expect for him to have on a weaker team. So that's a really good thing for Adam Fantilli. I think the one thing that I said, and I mentioned this on another podcast on the Athletic Hockey Show, one thing that really strikes me about him is that he's got this mentality about him. He is not overwhelmed. He is not intimidated. He seems to be having a lot of fun. And this is a guy, let's keep in mind, he said before the draft that the team that he most wanted to go to was Columbus. How many people actually say that? And if you're a Columbus Blue Jackets fan, that's not meant to be a slight. It's just something that we haven't heard. And now we've seen Johnny Gaudreau choose the Blue Jackets. You've seen Adam Fantilli being excited to be a Blue Jacket. Those are good things. And all of the noise that we've seen about the Blue Jackets this year with Mike Babcock and everything else, it all kind of goes by the wayside when you look at a young talent like Adam Fantilli and say, this is the guy that's going to really take us to the next level. This is the guy that is going to move us into the big time. And I think he can be that. Whether that's this year or in a few years, that's really what we have to kind of wait and see. But Adam Fantilli is a special player and a guy that I think everybody is going to enjoy watching this season. But if you're looking for a value bet when it comes to the Calder race, it's hard not to look at Logan Cooley with, little dollar signs in your eyes, because we all saw the goal that he scored in Australia, or at least if you haven't, go look it up. Logan Cooley scoring a preseason goal. He's probably not going to do that on a daily basis, but there are a couple of key points in that play that I thought were so amazing. So he hits the spin cycle, but what does he do? He sells the pass first. So we talk a little bit every now and then, you'll hear about manipulating the defenseman's stick. And that's what that move did. It put the defenseman's stick in the passing lane, and then he goes ahead and spins away from that too fast for the defenseman to react. He can't get his stick back in front, and then Cooley's by him. He's got the lane to the net. The other defenseman's expecting his D partner to have the guy, and he just doesn't, and then he is able to slip it in and surprise the goaltender. I think Cooley's going to score a number of highlight reels, and that's going to help highlight reel goals, and that's going to help his candidacy. We all think about Trevor Zegras a couple years back. Part of his candidacy was that he was just lighting it up in terms of creating highlights and fun goals, and was in the All-Star game and all that stuff. Like, Logan Cooley can be that for Arizona. And also keep in mind, Arizona has Clayton Keller coming off of a career year. They have Nick Schmaltz. They have other players that have been around, Jason Zucker. They have players that have been around the league. And while we don't think Arizona is going to be a playoff team this year, we should think that Logan Cooley is going to be surrounded in a way that's going to help him find his way pretty well. But there are other rookies that we're going to be talking about. There are so many guys that we're waiting to see. Will they make their teams? The one guy that seems to have the inside track that I'm going to be fascinated to follow is Devon Levi. Had a really great preseason debut with Buffalo. They're going to give him every opportunity to start the season there. Whether or not that's the right call, we'll have to wait and see. But goalies that are almost never go directly from college to the NHL, We saw that Levi got a couple of games last year. I don't think it'd be the end of the world if he ended up spending some time in the AHL. In fact, I think it might actually be a good thing because, Buffalo. But if Buffalo feels that they can compete this year and they feel that Devon Levi is the goalie that gives them the best opportunity to compete, by all means, because I think a lot of the patience has run out in Buffalo and now it's time to start winning. And if you think that Devon Levi is the guy that's going to help you get there, that's who you put in. So I'll be fascinated to watch him. I think that's going to be a lot of fun to see. Some of the other things, which Anaheim Ducks defensemen are going to make the final roster? Jamie Drysdale still unsigned. So does Pavel Mintyukov or Olin Zellweger get a crack at the lineup? Does Tristan Luneau get a crack at the lineup? That still remains to be seen. Does Leo Carlsson get a long-term thing? I think Leo Carlsson, in my opinion, I think it's probably best for him to go back to Sweden for another year. Get his legs under him as a center a little bit more. And that's that. I think that could ultimately be a good thing. It doesn't mean that it was a bad pick, them picking him over Fantilli. It just means that he's going to need some time, and that should be expected for some of those top picks. What did the Los Angeles Kings do with Brandt Clarke? He had a really good start, but is he ready? What about guys like that were in the AHL last year, like Yuri Kulik or Riker Evans for the Seattle Kraken, and then for the Kulik from the Sabres? There's a lot of guys that did things last year where it's like, hey, they're ready. Dustin Wolf from the Calgary Flames, how much of an opportunity is he going to get? Those are all the questions that are going to be remaining to be answered. But I think we're going to see a lot of young players get at least a start in the league. Some of them may be sent to the AHL. Some of them may be sent back to junior. Some of them, may be with the team all year, but playing sparingly. Every path is different. We'll have to wait and see. But, you look at, I really think that this year's race is going to have a lot to do with Bedard, Fantilli, Cooley, and I think Levi, if he's able to deliver on what we've seen so far. Those are four guys that I would be targeting as Calder favorites, and even though they're you got guys like Matthew Nyes and a host of other players that are going to have a say in this season. Just can't wait for this rookie class. I think it's exceptional.